The Cosmic Portal welcomes you. And please, subscribe for more.
There is a relentless force in the cosmos. Time and space connect. And within it, a force beyond our vision, but not our reach. It lies somewhere in our universe, causing ripples in time, where the here and now is infinite.
Welcome, everyone, to A Path to a Galaxy Far, Far Away. Of course, I am your host, Calibus Rand. Well, I'm your host today. Normally, Jedi Joe would be your host, but he's sick. So, boom, there we go. All right. So, Squadron Leader Rob Ash was in. He's trying to get back up. He had a internet problem. He went down. He'll be back in. Hello to you, Taco Cat, and thank you for joining us tonight as we go into talking about a very controversial thing. This movie was not well received in the theaters, and I like to blame people like the Phantom Menace, who called for boycotting because of what was going on with, they hated The Last Jedi, and they called for boycotting of Star Wars. They wanted Kathleen Kennedy gone, blah, 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 blah. At every turn, these people downplayed anything that was Star Wars. They crapped on Galaxy's Edge, and they kept saying that it'll never work, that this place, they're not selling, they're not doing this. And they basically kind of tanked Solo, in my opinion. Can I verify a lot of the stuff that they did? Yes, because I was there watching them on their podcast doing it. But, I have to also say that A Last Jedi really divided the fan base. It put us to the point where we all kind of went, oh, hell no, I'm done. And of course, there's a lot of people that say we never asked for a Solo movie. And I'm like, yeah, we did, because I'm a Solo fan. I didn't really care for what happened to him in The Force Awakens. I went Empire from that point on, and I could kind of care less about all the other characters because he killed off my favorite character. But nonetheless, we get this movie. This movie starts off with Han on Corellia, which was great because you've always heard of, he's a Corellian. It's a Corellian freighter. He's from Corellia, so we're going to get to find out what Corellia looks like. Unfortunately, 85% of this movie has to be reshot. They bring in another director, Mr. Ron Howard, to salvage this film because the people that were doing it had creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy. So let me start off by asking all of you, what did you hear about what was going on with this movie? And what made you say, hey, I'm still going to go watch it? Now, I'm going to start with Jedi Joe.
I think what I heard the most is that, and this was out of Star Wars fans, they didn't like the person or the actor that played a young Han Solo. And my thing is how can you hate someone if you haven't actually seen them act yet? So, and people started complaining, or what I heard on my end is that, certain things wasn't true. They couldn't put everything in the movie, yada, yada, yada. So I say I still had a good feeling about it. So I went to go see it. So that's all I heard.
All right. We have our priory protector, leader of the Firebirds, Miss Oris, please.
I really didn't hear that much. I wasn't really paying that much attention at the time to, and I usually don't when a new movie's coming out, to what critics and everybody else are saying around it. I was willing to give it a chance and to go see it in the theaters on my own. Because especially after, the Force Awakens, and then those were, I guess I kind of think they were justifiably trashed.
Yeah. It was kind of hard. All right, Master Shadow.
So I heard pretty much what everybody else heard, that there were creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy with the two directors that they had prior. I also heard that they were making it into way too much of a slapstick comedy that nobody wanted to see. And because of that, that's when they hired Ron Howard to reshoot, like you said, pretty much the whole movie. So he filmed a second movie, which came out, and I liked the movie. I know a lot of people say they don't like it. I thought it was pretty good, and I did hear people didn't want a solo movie. I did not understand that, because there are more characters than just Luke and Leia. There's a huge history in Star Wars that we really need to explore. And, we're just not getting it with what's going on, because right now they want to do a Rey trilogy, which I don't think anybody wants to see, but we'll see if that comes out. So that's pretty much what I've heard, like everybody else has heard.
You know what? We're going to touch on that Rey trilogy later.
Okay.
Oh, my God. I just, it's like they're doubling down on stupid.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that. I don't even understand that.
Like we said, it's a Kathleen Kennedy thing. So, she wants to try to keep her stuff out there, especially after, when Disney bought Star Wars, and Lucas gave them the Bible that, for what he had planned. And then she was like, F that, I'm going to do whatever I want. And the only thing that came out, like, everybody went and saw the first one because it was Star Wars. Everybody was hyped. And then after that, it was like, well, what the heck is this, I go to see him because it's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. I really wanted to succeed, but I'm still feeling the same thing everybody else. I'm a little disconcerted. Like, I want them to do better. That's what I want to say. I want this to be better than what it has been.
Most definitely. Man. All right. Because I'll get on a tangent and we won't even get this thing started. Katala.
Hi, Zoe. I just watched the movie just to watch it. I really haven't paid any, and I don't pay any attention to all the scuttlebutt going on.
Scuttlebutt?
Yes.
We see your foundling behind you. All right. Mr. Tusken Raider, your thoughts?
Well, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Like everybody else, I heard about the upheaval between the directors and Kathleen Kennedy, letting them go. Ron Howard coming in. They didn't want the person who played Han Solo. They didn't want him to be there. But after reading into him actually meeting Harrison Ford, I felt a little better about it. But I'm still a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm gonna go see it anyway. And it was actually a really good movie. I think he pulled off Han very well for being a young Han Solo. So
most definitely. They wanted that one guy who had Harrison's, I guess, speech patterns down and the way he moved and stuff, but you kind of want to break that mold because there's only one Harrison Ford. Plus, this is at an age where Solo hasn't experienced anything yet, so he wouldn't be acting like that You know what I mean? At that stage. So, and I really thought that he did a great job. I love the way he, portrayed it. We had Infant's Nest come in, and I didn't really kind of understand that whole thing, but I kind of liked it. A lot of the cliches, a lot of people's like, they're cramming everything into this movie. And I kept saying to myself, that's what I would do. If I was a first-time director, well, not a first-time director, if I was directing a movie that I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to revisit this world or this universe again, I would cram as much of the iconic stuff that you would want to see in this movie, because I may not get another shot at it. Now, you got to remember, this guy comes in, he's got to redo 85%, if not more, of this movie. Reshoot it. And now, you know what I mean? So he's got to put in what he can to get this, to get this movie, going. So the new guy who plays Chewbacca, how did you guys find the way he was when he presented himself out? You know what I mean? I believe at the time we had already lost Peter Mayhew, right? Oh, no, we didn't.
He was still alive. He
Yeah.
was still alive because they talked to each other prior to him getting the role.
Right. I think he did kind of more of his kind of stunt work, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought it was done. Uh-oh, wait a minute. We got somebody in here. Oh, there she is. There she is.
Computer kicked me out.
So, hey, Foundling.
Hey, Zoe.
So, I mean, the chemistry between the two actors, the one who plays now the young Han Solo and your new Chewbacca, how do you guys find that? Let's start with Katala.
Well, they had good chemistry together. It was interesting to see the stage fight in the dungeon. I'd like to know how long it took to get all that mud out of the Wookiee fur, but it was good. I liked them.
Yeah, that scene in the shower kind of when he just walked right in. And, for those of you that are animal lovers that have dogs or cats, like, I'm pretty sure you've had that scenario at one point or another where your animal kind of just walks right in with you and is like, hey, I'm here. Marky Mark.
Yeah, I thought the both characters were done well. I can see the chemistry when they first met inside the that prison cell and Solo started speaking Wookiee. They handled that well. So I had no issues with either character. I actually liked the way they portrayed each other, and I thought they had good chemistry throughout the whole movie.
Oris.
First name's Rixa, but yeah, I thought it was great. I didn't really even notice a difference in the way he acted as a young as a young Han Solo and Chewbacca to later on in the movies. It was totally believable.
Agreed. All right, Mr. Tusken Raider.
Well, I'm a little different. I thought when they first met, it was a little awkward. I don't know, that to me the chemistry was a little off, but as the movie went along, they started clicking. I think because I don't know, something about that whole dungeon scene, it just seemed a little off to me. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, Wookiees eating people. I don't know. I was kind of concerned a little bit. Jedi Joe.
Just kind of going off of what Malik said. Like I said, I just watched the movie, And at first, you kind of feel like maybe they kind of rushed that part. It would have been kind of interesting to see their relationship grow a little more than just, hey, I'm going to get you out of jail. Trust me to go with these strange people. Don't worry about what's going on in your life. And then, so that part kind of seemed, a little rush. But, again, I enjoy the characters. I thought the guy did a really good job as Chewbacca. And you could tell that him and Peter Mayhew must have talked because of his mannerism, the way he carried himself. At first I wouldn't have thought that wasn't Peter Mayhew at first. Maybe a young version of him. I was pleased, but like Malik said, it would have been interesting to see a little bit more of Chewie and Han's, say work ethics, how they became so trustworthy of each other, not so rushed into this thing that they were going into. But other than that, I still agree with the movie. It's still good.
All right, we got Miss Vonda. Miss Vonda, your thoughts on the charisma between the young Han Solo and the new Chewbacca?
I thought it was pretty good. But I just got finished watching it. Actually, that's kind of why I'm a few minutes late, because I haven't seen it in such a long time. But I thought it was just a little odd that Han knew Chewie's language. I don't know how far it was between when the Empire attacked Chewie's planet, but I don't know. I just felt it was little strangers. Why would Han knew what little, I don't know what you call the language, but his language, considering Han was kind of stuck on his planet until he left, and the Wookiees were kind of in bondage.
Well, that's a good point. You know what? And I think, was it Kashyyykian or Wookiee? Because I mean, those are the only two. No, you know what I mean? That's a good point, though. That is a good point, because supposedly he was always on Corellia. Where did he have the time to learn a little bit of Wookiee? So valid point. Valid point. Now, Kira. We get introduced to this character, and it wasn't in the books. He was raised by Wookiees. Okay. Wow.
So he was Tarzan.
Wow. Yeah, right.
That's a book I never read.
Me either. I would love to find out what the title of that book is, so I could go back and read it. Because I got to be honest with you, with the way changes are going with Disney, I don't think they realize they're making the fans run back to some of the old stuff and really appreciate what they didn't, or forgot about or didn't know about. And they're making them go back and look some of this stuff up. So we get introduced to Kira, and she's this, she's just like Han. I hate to say the term street rat, but she's this street rat and da. And she lets, she gets away, and she's telling Han to run, and she gets taken away. I want to know more about this woman. Any woman that's going to basically go back and face the music and let her man go free, we deserve to know her story, because not only is she brave, she loved the hell out of that man. You know what I'm saying? It's not until later that we find out in the story that she's done some terrible things to survive. And at the end of the movie, which we'll get to and we'll discuss more, you see this really, I don't know if it's 360. I'm pretty sure we kind of all had this thing going on saying, she's a little bit more than what she seems. But your thoughts on the character? How was she? We all get introduced to her more from the Game of Thrones than anything. So she had a huge fan base already, kind of plugged in. But Draco Solo. So your thoughts on that? Your thoughts on that? Let's go with Malik.
I mean, for the character wise, I think she did a really good job with it. It was, I don't know, maybe not well thought out, but it was. She played it right. Like you, I'd like to see more of her backstory and more of what she's been through, and maybe that explained more. But I mean, as far as her character wise, I think she did a good job.
Okay. All right. Katala.
She's the tough lady. She grew up on the streets and probably had to survive by her wits once she got picked up and taken back to whoever wasn't owning her at the time. And she survived everything that she had to do because she was strong enough to.
All right. So I'm going to hit. Oh. Vonda.
I'm jumping off of here now, guys.
All right.
I know, so cute. I liked her character. Just like what everybody said so far, I would love to know what bad things she's done, and if they were ever to do another movie, her relationship with Paul would be interesting. But also, I guess it was 3 years from the time that she left Han to when he discovered her again. And was she always that kind of devious, kind of hardcore, or was it just, hey, she really learned that during those 3 years apart because she was still stuck on the planet? I think it would be interesting to find out.
Master Shadow.
Yeah, I would wonder what happened to her as well, especially at this point you would have to say the second they took her, the Empire took her, or whoever captured her, it's like Darth Maul would have immediately had to take her to train her to be as good as she was at the end of the movie. It wouldn't have been something where she would have went back and then escaped again at some point, because that's too short of a time between what happened and where she was actually with Black Sun. So definitely would like to see how that transpired. Yeah, but she did a great job in the movie, way better than she did in Secret Invasion. So I'm glad about that. So we'll just say it that way.
You couldn't resist putting that jab in.
Hell no.
Rexa?
This will be my last comment, and I'm jumping off because, as you can see, the cutest baby in the world just showed up at my house. First, I didn't think we got a real good introduction to her in the beginning. I would have liked to have known more about her then. And then when we see her again, and you start finding out, more about her, and I don't know, I could kind of see where it was going. She was working for the Black Sun. I didn't like her. I mean, he was willing to move, everything and get back to her. And then, she's comfortable in her spot in the criminal organization, and she likes it there. I don't know. I had trouble respecting her for that.
Okay.
And with that, good night, all. I'm off.
Thank you for joining us.
All right.
All right, Jedi Joe.
Well, I liked her as a character, and I liked her in Game of Thrones. Kneel on bended knee. She kind of played that part. But I think everybody agree. I think everybody can agree. We would have loved to seen just a little bit more on how she becomes so ruthless versus what little bit we saw. But I enjoyed her character very much, very much.
All right. Squadron leader is back. Rob.
Okay, I hope I've got audio.
Yes, you do.
I'm on my phone. Computer took a major crap. I enjoyed her. Her character was pretty good. A lot of people give her crap for being the way she was, but she was seeing the whole picture and was looking out for him. And she wasn't really doing it out of spite. She just knew there was more to it than what he knew, and she wanted to protect him the only way she knew how.
Yeah, and it shocked me to learn later that she was help auctioning off the frozen Han Solo. Yeah. So later on in this storyline, guys, she acquires Han and Carbonite and is about to sell him off to the highest bidder. I don't know. I think that I think maybe the love, kind of dissipated over that time.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously something went on to the point that, she got, to the point where there he is frozen and she's selling him off to the highest bidder. Will we ever get to hear or see anything like that again, other than the comics or the books that Disney is writing? Probably not. And you know what? I kind of go into that blissful ignorance of, if I don't see it on the screen, I'm not really going to trust it. Because it's a little much now, because, we have the High Republic, which is not really selling anymore. And I mean, they lost me when they named a character Geode and he was a rock. I just couldn't do that. The lightsabers look cool. I'll give them that. But beyond that, I can't really deal with it. And then they seem to be cutting back. So we're getting a Mace Windu comic book series.
Okay.
After
go with the priest stuff, right? Like earlier when what is it? Oh, Anakin was younger. Obi-Wan still a Padawan.
I don't know the logistics of it, because when I heard it, I was kind of like, they haven't done a good job of really laying down the foundations for the characters. You know what I mean? They kind of like, oh, well, this character is hot and people want to know about this, and this will sell. It's kind of more of a selling gimmick than it is good storytelling.
Yeah.
They don't want to give us good storytelling. We have Dave Filoni now in charge of the creations of what's going on for Star Wars and all of Lucasfilm. And again, I liked Ahsoka. I didn't find it insulting that here we go, all women. Well, it's Ahsoka. You know what I mean? What's she supposed to be doing? Hanging around with a bunch of dudes? I don't understand the mentality sometimes of people, but I didn't see it that way. I just saw characters. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, Sabine, just not one of my favorite characters anymore. I don't know what they did to her, but good Lord, they need to overhaul that whole character and do something better with it. Matter of fact, Malik and I were talking today about Andor, and I was telling him how I didn't care for it. And he was like, well, certain droid is rumored to be in season 2. Now you give me that, I get that Imperial droid in season 2. You've re-sparked my interest. Although I still need to see what happens to Mon Mothma, because she to me was a powerful character. This was a woman that's getting ready to destroy her family to save the galaxy. And if that does not scream hero, I don't know what does. You know what I mean? So getting back to where we are with Solo, we get Kira, we get that, and now we get the charismatic Lando Calrissian. Okay. I was fine with the movie until after the movie dropped and they start telling me about Lando's sexuality. I just don't think that that's a place that we need to go in a Star Wars movie. Are you there to find out about the sexuality of a character, or are you just wanting to see people get shot, stormtroopers falling over, spaceships flying, lightsabers, blasters, that sort of thing? Your guys' thoughts. Rob, I'm going to start with you, sir.
It really doesn't need to be in there. They need to keep that out of it. He was a playboy in the shows, but he wasn't a playboy like that in the shows. I really didn't like how they did that.
Malik.
I have to agree. I mean, I could care less. I want to see a young Lando. I thought his character was good, but when it came to that, I'm like, it's not needed. It didn't move the storyline ahead anywhere. So, yeah, didn't need it.
Jedi Joe.
I concur. They don't need to know what they think he is or what he isn't. He's a gangster. He's sexual chocolate, you might say. You know what I mean? I used to go to lunch when The Empire Strikes Back came out, and I had girls all around me. They're like, "Oh, you like Star Wars?" And when they saw a picture of Billy D. Williams, I had this one girl. I almost got free lunch from her for a whole year, just so she could look. Now I'm gonna blow y'all's minds here if you remember it. You remember the old 45 records? That was the Storytel, where you could listen to the record and you go through the book, and it was almost like seeing the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
That was the first time I seen Empire Strikes Back was through one of them.
Okay. Well, I remember, oh my God, these girls, this one particular one, loved some Billy D. Williams. She said that he just had that charisma and everything. So, I think it was Danny Glover's son that played him. I thought he did a very good job, but we don't need to know all this extra stuff, not in Star Wars. Come on now.
Katala.
He played a good actor. He was a kind of a space mobster running gambling dens and stuff like that. So he played his part. He probably would like to dress up a lot with his capes and everything. So
yeah, that was the funniest thing when he opened up that closet and that man had capes. I was like, well, damn, okay, okay. Fashion sense. Okay. All right. Miss Vonda Marshall.
Yeah, I don't think there was any need for it. It has nothing to do with the movie. Okay, he likes wearing capes. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It could be kind of cool if you wear the right outfit with it. But I don't know, the executives, they just want to just throw stuff in there just to throw it in there to try to see if they can get a different or a larger audience, but it just doesn't make sense. We as fans don't really care. So I don't even know why they would even take the time to put it in. It just doesn't make sense.
Marky Mark?
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't like that they've done that. It didn't move the story along because Lando was always just a smooth, charismatic guy. And I've always thought of him as a ladies' man, not as a person that, I'm just going to deal with everybody. Like my wife brought up earlier, when they did that in Star Trek to Sulu, that now he is gay just because the actor that originally played Sulu was gay. That had nothing to do with the actual character, because even George Takei was like, no, the character was not gay. I portrayed him in a certain way, but you're just doing that because they're trying to honor that way. I think it's getting to be a little bit out of hand when you're looking at characters that they want to bring in universes. It's not moving the stories along people are not watching it because these characters are a certain way. So I think they need to drop that and stop trying to push that on everybody to say, oh, this will make other people watch it, because it doesn't work. If the people don't watch it to begin with, they're not going to watch it just because you said something like that.
Good point. Good point. I totally agree with all of you guys.
Makes
Now-
you question Lobot now.
Look, I was saving this one. The droid. Was it L-37? I think that was the name of the droid.
What was it? L5?
Yes.
No, L3. L337. I love the droid. I'm not even gonna lie. The droid, maybe because I don't know. It was just something about this droid that really kind of got my I mean, I love the look of the droid. It was definitely something that, you know, kind of got me like, you know, hey, I like the way the droid looked. The only thing, and the sass mouth on her. I love the sassy droid, right? Except for that thing in the cockpit where she's like, well, you need to do that thing you do. And he kind of looked at her weird.
That was uncomfortable.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that kind of made me uncomfortable too, because now I'm kind of like, what is this? You know, what is this? But I love the droid. I thought she was a wonderful addition to the cast. And then we finally get to see where the Falcon, remember that scene in Empire Strikes Back? I don't know where your ship learned to communicate. We learned that it's L3 inside the Falcon. She's part of the ship now. She's the one. Now, and I hate this, but I've been listening to a certain point of view. They have it for Star Wars, they have it for Empire Strikes Back, and they have it for Return of the Jedi. They retcon a lot of the storytellings of these movies and insert a lot of social idealisms in these things. But there's a cute little story where Han is on Cloud City when the Falcon comes in for repairs. And L3 is reminiscing about Han, you know what I mean, through the network of the ship and whatnot. But anyway, what did you guys think when she started freeing the droids and wanted to give the droids rights? oh, look at Malik. Okay, Malik, we're gonna start with you there, sir.
I mean, it was an interesting part of the film. To me, it was like a little over the top. I was just trying to figure out how it fit in the film. Sometimes, I mean, I like the scene. I think they did a good job with it, but I was just trying to figure out where were they going to go with this. Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it was some part of the movie that just didn't make sense to me in the whole scheme of things. So.
Rob, what do you think?
It was interesting the way they brung it in. I didn't care that much for it, but she had her little quirks and they worked that into it.
Okay. Jedi Joe.
I thought it was some pretty good comic relief a little bit there. You know, how they, when they were trying to get Lando to take the job and negotiating, and he's like, well, let me run it by my first mate. And she's like giving him a little bit of attitude, almost like saying, oh, well, I guess I got to do what you tell me to do. You're my human, And it was just that little comic relief, I think. I mean, if you think back in all of our Star Wars movies, most of the droids are always, belong to someone or some faction doing some job. Maybe it was their way of just showing, hey, what if we had a time where we had one droid that was going to liberate them? And you saw that where she turned around and says to him in the bar, they don't serve our kind, but yet they're playing robo fights and the thing. So I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a good ally for them when they were on the planet where the Pikes were. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Plus, I liked her anyway. For me, she was almost like the equivalent to the Imperial droid that was in Rogue One. That helped Andor. Yeah, except for he was, I think, a little bit more funnier. I thought he was funnier.
All right, Master Shadow and Vonda, your thoughts?
Actually, I was just telling Mark, I agree with Jedi Joe. It's I like Rogue One droid better, but this droid wasn't too bad. I don't know if it was all necessary. I did think the relationship between Lando and the droid, especially when he was crying, I thought that was just a little weird because I never thought of Lando being that emotional when it came to his droid, but it was in the movie.
Yeah, the droid is pretty cool. I thought, like everybody said, it was a female droid, so now you've got that going like, oh, that's why they were saying that about Lando. But the droid was funny. The releasing of the prisoners, I thought that was a weird scene. I know that she released the one so she can get the controls, and then that one released everybody else, and they kept going. But I guess that was just a throwaway scene for that part of the movie. Other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed everything else that was going on with her.
All right, Katalo, your thoughts on L3?
She was a good comic relief, and she could have given Chopper some of his sass, maybe.
Now there's a droid. Chopper. The murder bot. I think that was Rob giving us the feedback. So now we have Han's mentor. We have Han's mentor. This guy gives him his famous blaster. He's he tells him, if you get into this life, this business, you'll never get out. You'll be looking over the shoulder for the rest of your life. Beckett, right? So, what did you guys think of Woody Harrelson as Beckett? Let's go with you, Jedi Joe.
Sorry, guys. I like Woody Harrelson anyways. He kind of plays a good villain, especially if you saw him in Natural Born Killers. He was kind of ruthless in that, but to kind of see him be able to play both people and everything, I kind of enjoyed that. And then there was a part where I heard them saying that he had killed. Was it the bounty hunter Arlene Singh, if I'm pronouncing it right? That's the one that she was a Jedi, right, guys? Or am I miss?
I'm not even sure it's Jedi.
Okay. And the only reason why it just stood out to me when I watched it this afternoon, and I thought, wow, that's really kind of connecting the bounty hunters together. in some way how he's killed someone. But going back to the original question, yes, I like Woody Harrelson as playing this guy. You kind of see his natural, acting like he normally is. And he kind of taught Han a few tricks too. So you see that in the end. But yeah, I liked him as a character and as an actor as well.
Tiberius Beckett.
Sorry
I
about
thought,
that feedback.
Yeah, no problem. I thought
The
that
laptop rebooted and took and automatically came in.
I thought that he was pretty cool the way he kind of mentored Han, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Malik, your thoughts on Mr. Beckett?
I liked him as a character. I like the way he mentored Han, but at the same time, he kind of forgot what he taught Han at the end. I mean, so I don't know if it was lapse of judgment that he liked Han or what, but I mean, overall, his character was really well done. I like his mannerisms. I like how he interacted with the crew members on his team and stuff like that.
All right. Katala.
He played a good character, and it was interesting when he had the other two people with him. Then they were trying to steal a craft from the Empire, and Han caught up to them and figured it out, and then got back with them. So that was pretty interesting. And where they're robbing the train, and Malik's lady friend blows herself up so they can get the stuff they need. That was pretty good too. Or Beckett's, I should say.
Well, let's get with Vonda and Marky Mark, and then we'll go through the bad part about what happens to Mr. Beckett. But all right, guys, give me your opinion on him.
I enjoy his character in this movie. I'm not really a big fan of him. I enjoyed the Hunger Games, and I thought he played an interesting character in that. But I thought he did a really good job of it. I was actually pretty much impressed. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would say his introduction to the to Solo when he's wearing the lieutenant's outfit with a bullet hole in it. So, so you're in charge, he handled that well. He actually saved that mission. So, and then even though he got Solo arrested, but they were able to get out, I think that he was a great character. He did a fantastic job in the role. And I guess we'll wait to discuss his, his downfall or whatever happened to him. But yeah, I like Woody Harrelson in that role. He did a great job.
I liked how he did. He did a really good job at playing a scoundrel. He kept to his word. He was a man of his word. If he said he was going to do something, he did it. He warned Han that he was going to betray him in the end because not to trust anybody. But the one thing I did not like is he did not give Han all of the blaster. He took the barrel off of it for sniping in the book. Other than that, he did a wonderful job as his story.
Well, you know what I loved about him? I love the fact that he had this love. Tobias Beckett had this love for Val. He loved that woman. He was going to play that harpsichord thing or whatever it was, and they were going to settle on this planet. And when she blows that bridge, I was mad because that was the character in the book. She saves Beckett. This is how they become intertwined. She saves him, and they become intertwined. Or to borrow a phrase from Miss Jada Pickett, they get entangled. and they have this thing. They have this bond now. You know what I mean? Because she loves him. But when she blows that bridge and she's like, "It's been a hell of a ride, babe," I'm like, "Oh, come on!" And again, how can people say that there are no strong characters when you write a character like that really drags you in? You know, because she didn't hate Han, she hated Han, and she just wanted to get this mission over so they could do what they had to do, and then you kill him. You kill them and you give us these sad characters that, you know, really can't carry anything, but you kill off the real good ones. So I don't understand where that was going. They tried to give us Infamous, and I thought a teenager riding around on a motorcycle. I mean, although they tried to make you believe it was a man, the moment they disguised the voice, I'm like, that's a woman. I already knew that's a woman. I knew it, you know, because you're trying too hard. You know what I mean? I mean, although she was a good fighter and they're starting the rebellion. So I really found that kind of, you know, lacking, to say of a better word. But now we have the Crimson Dawn leader. Right? I wasn't too sure about this guy. Make sure that Drayden Voss. What did you guys think about Drayden Voss? Was he a charismatic leader? I mean, because when we see him, the first thing he does is he offs an official right there on his yacht without a second thought in the world. Make sure you have this for later. I may need it. I was like, okay. Kind of James Bond-esque, I guess you could say. Your thoughts on this guy, Malik?
Actually, I liked him. I don't know. I like he was to the point, didn't care. He said if he's gonna do it, he did it, regardless of who it was. I like characters like that. I mean, it's kind of like Thanos. You know, he said what he's going to do and he did it. He didn't care. So, I mean, I like him as an actor anyway, but
yeah,
I just like the kind of characters like that, and he did it really well.
Yeah, he was great as Vision. I have to say that. Miss Vonda Marshall.
I mean, he had pretty much money and power, and he knew he had the money and power, and the backing of his troops, so to speak, to do whatever he wanted to do. So that part of his character, I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought he was a good character. I have no issues with him at all. I guess the only thing I would always wonder, do you think he knew? Well, I know he didn't know that what's her name was working for Darth Maul, but did he have any inkling that there was another shadow organization that was trying to take over his empire? I always wonder about that. But yeah, he did a great job in the role that he had, you know?
No, they were working for Maul. He was working for Maul. Maul was the top dog. Yeah.
Okay.
So when she killed him, he was like, "Oh well, me and you gonna be working together." So Maul pulled her in.
I was just wondering. Yeah, that was true.
Yeah, see, George gave them his next trilogy was going to be Maul was the heavy.
Yeah,
and we got Darth Talon because he had acquired the Shadow Organization.
Right.
That was the trilogy we were going to get, but we got
the Rey stuff.
We got Rob, squadron leader. Drayden Voss.
He did a really good job in his role. He played a powerful bad leader. The one thing that took me out of it all the time was the little quirk they gave of him when he would get upset or angry, his face turning red with the scars or whatever. It took me out of it because I was wondering, is he a shapeshifter? What species is he? It just drew me away from the story trying to figure that out.
Okay. Jedi Joe.
Oh man, I thought he was ruthless. He kind of remind me of someone that doesn't take pity little excuses. Especially when they found out that that Bigot had failed him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this," try to bullshit their way out of it, and the next thing you know, he's like, "No, you're gonna tell me how you're gonna do it. Don't just tell me you're gonna do it. Tell me how, so we can." And then he shows his enthusiasm once he kind of hears everything, and then all of a sudden that final thought, like, well, if this doesn't work, we're out of options, right? So he was down to the point. So I thought he was a great character, and I kind of like those weapons that he had. It was pretty cool. I like those.
Katala, your thoughts on Drayden Voss?
He was a good syndicate person. He did what he was supposed to, I guess, according to Darth Maul. So that's that. Good weapons. He was smart, but he wasn't smart enough for the outcome that happened to him. He wound up getting killed by his second, I guess you could say, and she became
his protege.
Yes.
He trained her,
and she took him out.
And she took him out.
In a Sith
sort
way.
of Sith-like, right? We need Dexter here.
She took him out in a Sith way.
Right? She took him out. Sometimes as men, we underestimate the power of a woman. And a woman who's fed up ain't nothing to mess with. You know what I mean? She took him out. And I love the fact that she did that. Before Han could even get to her blaster, she had already did the deed. Okay? So, again, I agree with you guys. I love Drayden Voss. We're getting ready to hit this hour mark, but I wanted to do, what was did you guys love seeing the Millennium Falcon in her prime, shiny, new, all with the little blue and everything else? As big Falcon fans, I know Jedi Joe and I were, that whole scene where the music is playing and Han's looking up at her, it's kind of like Kirk with the Enterprise. They're falling in love with this ship. They see it, they're falling in love with it. It took me a while to get past that nose cone point up here. So I was kind of like, but once I had to have mine tricked out. But once I got past that, it was the Falcon. It's the Falcon. What's not to love? So did everybody, by a show of thumbs up, thumbs down, because I've got to do this last big reveal, did we enjoy seeing the Millennium Falcon in her prime, in her beginning? Oh, wow. So we got the two. Katala, you were thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay. All right. Oh, wow. Malik. Oh. So that's why you gave me that Millennium Falcon today. Oh. All right, guys. So at the end of the movie, the big reveal was Darth Maul. And I must confess, I was sitting there kind of dumbfounded because I'm like, I hadn't seen the end of the Clone Wars cartoon. I hadn't watched it. So I had no clue. And I'm like, how did this dude survive? I need to know this. And I'm looking at his legs. I'm like, this dude was chopped in half. How did he make this? So I went back and I watched the Clone Wars. And then from the Clone Wars, I went into Rebels. From there, you know what I mean? So you guys' thoughts real quick on seeing Darth Maul there. We'll be working closely together and lighting a lightsaber. I'm going to start with Vonda Marshall, and then, of course, Master Shadow after her.
I actually wish we would have saw him a little bit more. I mean, I loved him, and in the first episode, he was just awesome, a really great bad guy. And Clone Wars at the end, chopped in half. I thought that was just a little bit on the late side when he came back. But as a bad guy, yeah, really, really, really good.
I like him as a bad guy. I don't think they should have ever brought him back because I think that was, for me, he was chopped in half. He should have died in the first movie. That would have been it. Then you're going to bring him back, like you said, in the other ones. And then at the end of Rebels, where he's on Tatooine again, and now Obi-Wan has to kill him again, that was just a bit much. I think that was overkill. If you like the character to begin with, don't kill him in the first movie. But he died in the first movie. He needed to remain dead. For him to crawl around in that cave for however long before he got his robot legs, like Lieutenant Dan, you got your legs. So,
He was
okay,
Spider-Man.
Lieutenant Dan, we're going to go with Lieutenant Dan on that. All right, so yeah, he's fine. I was very disappointed that they keep bringing him back. So that would be my only thing about that.
Okay, but now this is where the whole thing of the Sith, how hate can keep you alive, and this is how they justified that craziness with Reva and all this other stuff. And
But everybody, okay, now we're bringing that up, which like people don't like the last movie, and you've got the Emperor back again, even though he's a clone of himself. But that's the same thing. Everybody was pissed that the Emperor was back, so I'm pissed that Darth Maul is back. So they never die, is what we're
now,
saying.
but look, Master Shadow, somehow he's returned.
Yeah, okay. Somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah,
You can't make this stuff up. When somebody does it, you know what? We'll just say somehow, and we'll let some writer in a book explain how. You know, I mean, really lazy writing.
Yeah,
Really
that's lazy. It's a lazy thing. I like I said, I love Darth Maul as a character. The scene in Episode 1 when he takes on Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan is amazing. You know, I've watched the training of that scene. It's off the chain. You know, I love that, and I think that was probably one of the best scenes of the whole movie. But he was cut in half. He fell down a shaft. He is dead. You know, end of story. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Emperor was thrown down the same shaft. Yeah, I think it's the shaft. Do not throw a Sith down any shaft.
Luke was thrown down a shaft too and survived.
Yeah, and like everybody said, Mace Windu was thrown out a window. He survived.
So wait a minute now. So that means there's hope for Han, right? Because Han
he was stabbed and thrown down the shaft. But he's not a Sith, so he has to get anger in order to come back. So he's probably fine. He's totally okay. He'll be in the next movie.
Jedi Joe.
Yeah, I did that today.
Okay. You know, they say the dark side is a pathway to many abilities, some to say unnatural. So when Darth Maul got killed, you know, that's one of the biggest things I used to hear back in the day. Oh, they shouldn't have killed him off. They shouldn't have killed him off. Well, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. So that's where you made your mistake. But you know, in order to please the masses, we bring him back in a cartoon. He has Lieutenant Dan's legs, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, I think if I was being excitable, I liked him as a character. I liked him, but some of the ways that they brought him back, just like y'all said, it was just kind of misplaced. Is that the best way to say it? You know, I mean, let's face it, Darth Maul. He's kind of like the first Sith that we saw with a bow-like lightsaber. I mean, he was, you know, badass. So, I mean, he was probably, to me, in my opinion, some of his saber stuff was better than Vader's. But Plus, he was looking cool. He had the horns, the red and black face. So, one of my favorite characters. But like y'all said, some of the ways that they brought him back, kind of, yeah, they knew they made a mistake from the beginning.
All right. Katala.
Well, if somebody's spine's cut in half, it's kind of hard for them to keep on living, I think, because you'd lose half of the organs with it. So I guess it must be the Dark Sisters magic that put them back together.
That would have made more sense than the hatred keeping them alive, I think. I mean, we've seen zombie troopers, so you know what I mean? That would have made more sense than, Squadron Leader.
I love seeing Maul anytime he's on the screen, and for them cutting him in half and him coming back, he's an alien species. We don't know what that does to their species to lose a limb or lower half. Their anatomy could be totally different than a regular human's. But I love always seeing him. But the end scene, I loved it all the way to the end where he pulls his lightsaber and shows off turning it on and twirling it. That was just pointless and there for show for no particular reason.
Malik.
Okay, so when I saw the scene, I got chills. I'm like, okay, Maul's back. But listening to what everyone is saying, I can see their points of view. But from my understanding, when he was cut in half, it was at the waist, and a lightsaber cauterizes you. It doesn't. You don't bleed out. If you get cut off at the waist, you don't hit any major organs. So I kind of can see if you do it from that perspective, he could have lived. But at the same time, he did fall down a shaft. But they like to bring people back from that. But I do like the character. I did think it was kind of interesting how Obi-Wan had to kill him off in the cartoon again. That was a bit much. I agree with. So, but yeah, I mean, when he appeared, I got chills. So, Ray Parks is the man.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered it. I think we covered it. I mean, I love seeing Maul, like I said, because I said, ooh, oh man, he lights a lightsaber, and then that's when I noticed the feet. I was like, yeah, you were cutting that. Oh, you got robot. How did this happen? I thought I had missed something completely. So it made me go back and look stuff up on the internet, which told me, hey, go to Rebels, and I started. Clone Wars, and I started watching that, and then with him fighting with Sabine all the way up to the thing, taking the dark saber. I loved it.
Cutting Vizsla's head off.
Oh man, that was tight when he did that right there in front of Bo-Katan. And the armorer having the points, because remember when Maul took over, all the Mandalorians started having spikes on their helmets and stuff. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really good. There's a Rally Master's armor in Draven's Voss's office, a Mandalorian Rally Master's armor sitting right up there on the thing. So it was for me, it was great to see my hero kind of spotlighted, although I always say that Empire Strikes Back is a Han Solo movie because, we got to see more of Han. I never was interested in Luke. Could care less about Mr. Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry. The whole Yoda thing, I know everybody loves Yoda, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, this little Muppet on this dirt ball of a planet in the swamp. You know what I mean? I don't see what the big fascination is. And I can still remember people, oh my God, losing their mind watching him pinball around with the lightsaber. And I'm kind of like, wow, okay. I still don't get it. You know what I mean? It just wasn't my thing. But I think it was an okay movie. Unfortunately, it just hit a bunch of circumstances with fan backlash, poor executive decisions but for some of us who enjoyed it, it was a great film. They were trying to do a Solo 2 movie. We need Solo 2. We need Solo 2. And, you know, it's never going to happen. But it was nice to dream about it. At least I have the movie. I have it on 4K, 3D, so I can watch it whenever I want to. You know what I mean? But we will come back in 2 weeks, right? In 2 weeks. So I believe that's December 16th. Are you clear there, Marky Mark, for that?
Yep, I'm clear for that.
Rogue One. Marky Mark will handle this one. We're going to do Rogue One same time, same bat channel, guys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and due to it that being too close to Christmas, we're going to wait until January to start this back up. You know, I'll notify you guys all again, and then we can pick this back up. Of course, we won't be doing anything during the con weekend because we'll all be at the con. But we'll pick it up there with episode 4. I don't know who's doing A New Hope.
I'm doing A New Hope as well.
Oh, so you're doing it back to back. Good.
We're back. Yep.
Jedi Joe's got my favorite, Empire Strikes Back. Malik, do you want to partake in Return of the Jedi?
Let me get back to you on that one.
So guys, Malik is again the Tusken Raider. He built his whole costume for, you know, like Rob, he builds all his stuff from the ground up with his own materials and everything else. And he's hoping he's going to go open up his own little shop. He's got some stuff to sell, Star Wars materials. I saw some stuff today, guys. I'm telling you. I saw some stuff today that blew my mind. We're going to help him get that up and running. He'll be joining us from podcast to podcast. And in 2025, he'll be joining us at the convention. So with that being said, has anybody else got any other little announcements before we go? Nope. All right. Then follow the creed and always trust in the Force.